Hello everyone. Welcome to AI-assisted legacy code migration with Konveyor AI. My name is Aleksandar Z and I'm a software engineer at Gepadec. I have participated during the so-called Learning Friday project, where we looked into migration to another technology, and there we tried around with KAI and experimented. Now let's look first at the outline of my talk. I'm going to start about migration in overall, what challenges you might face, then move on about Konveyor and Konveyor AI in detail, then a small demo about Konveyor AI, and finally what our opinion and experience with KAI. In short, like KAI is the short form for Konveyor AI. And finally, how the future on our side looks like when it comes to Konveyor AI. Sorry. Now, to the migration challenge. Usually when you're looking to migrate to another technology, or let's say you're looking to migrate to the cloud somehow, it's not just a version bump. It's not as simple as that, but there is more to it. Usually organizations or enterprise applications have custom implementations of stuff that might not be, that would not work with the target technology, for example. Then there are usually dependencies and annotations that need to be exchanged with others, with the right ones, and tests, as well as the runtime on the new technology might have to lead to changes as well. And during the Learning Friday project, we looked at what we might face when we want to migrate to Quarkus. And usually, when you're tackling a challenge, you want to look for what's out there already, so you don't reinvent the wheel. And that's what we did, and that's how we, the first time, heard about Konveyor and in Konveyor AI in detail. Now, when it comes to Konveyor, it's an open source community project. It's, I hope the wording is right, CNCF sandbox project. All the components or other tools that exist are around analysis and planning and transforming applications. So there is, for example, Konveyor Hub, where it's about categorizing your applications. When you have multiple applications in your organization, you can categorize them and label them all in one place, and even run analysis there. And finally, there is Konveyor CLI, or Kancha in short. I don't know if anyone has used it already. This does code analysis on your code base, for example. And that brings me to KAI, which is another component. And this is that component that makes use of AI in the background. So let's look at it. It's a VS Code extension, currently only for VS Code. I don't know, it might be for other IDEs out there as well in the future. It makes use of static code analysis. It also uses RAG for certain features, actually only one feature I'm aware of, and is capable of learning during migrations as well. But it depends on how you use it actually, and if you want to use that feature. And as I already said in the background, it uses an LLM to solve issues for you or to help you to solve them. And what's good as well is that it's model agnostic, so you can use all the common models out there, even locally hosted. The only thing is that they have to be kind of OpenAI API compatible, but usually most of them would work. And when it comes to local models, which is a nice feature actually, since probably not every organization wants to send their source code out there, so you have the option to host it yourself and just at the endpoint where it's reachable. Now, I would say let's just turn into the demo. And I still have some slides, but just a little bit about the application we used during the Learning Friday project. It's a small backend for game score tracking. That's the same application I'll open in the IDE. It's a Jakarta EE to Quarkus migration. Some technical context, Java 21 is used, and we used the version Wildfly 34. Then to the project scope, as I already said, it's quite a small application. It has 5 modules, while one module was only to package the WAR file and put things together. There are 22 REST endpoints and about 1.5 K lines of code, so quite a small one. Yeah, let's dive in into the demo. So, do you want me to show you the setup as well, or just start with the workflow, how it looks like when you're working with KAI?
I think the VS extension would be interesting to see. I'm not sure what you mean with setup.
How we configuration of it, yeah. It's not much to it. Yeah. Okay, so basically, as I already said, it's an extension. So you install the extension, and I don't know if everyone is familiar with VS Code. So basically, when you start out, you first have to create a profile. A profile is usually where you want to migrate. I named it like the target technology. You can name it how you want. And in your profile, you add the target technology you want to migrate to. I've added Quarkus and Quarkus 3. The source technology as well, I've left it out here. Basically, what these labels do is deciding on which rules are going to be used. I'm going to talk about the rules later on, more in detail. And yeah, that's actually the whole setup. And you add, let me show you. If you want to use the LLM, I guess everyone would want to use it. You add your API key. I'm using OpenAI's GPT 5.4 model.
Change the key later.
Yeah, it's not the full one. I think, yeah, there's more to it, but I'm going to change it or remove it.
Pictures.
No, I'm going to remove it.
On the right side of the
I mean, it's not a live stream, I hope. And that's actually all to it. You have different models you can decide to use. The default active one is OpenAI. You can just change that. And I hope I'm not scrolling too fast. And as I said here, it's where you can add your locally hosted LLM or somewhere in your organization where it's reachable. And that's it actually. Now, as I already mentioned, there's the hub as well. We haven't experimented with it for now, but maybe later to it. And so basically that's it. So first, when you have created your profile, the first thing you want to do is analyze your code base. So you start the KAI RPC server in the background, and then you can run the analysis. So now let's just, while it's still running, it usually takes some time.
2 hours.
But it's not too long. Now let's look at what it does in the background. There is a whole analysis engine behind it that makes use of analysis rules. There are community rules which already address common issues, anti-patterns related to certain technologies you want to migrate, for example, to. But you can add custom rules as well, and it's probably I guess it's usually going to happen for big organization that has a lot of custom stuff to add custom rules as well. So you can find the anti-patterns in your code base and address them. So basically, the analysis engine takes the rules. The rules themselves have some logic to them, how the anti-pattern or for what pattern they should look like in order to identify the issue. And then this logic is converted into LSP queries, which then finally gets used to analyze the source code and code base. And finally, after each rule have been checked out, and if there was a match, for each match you get an incident inside an analysis report. Let's see whether it finished already. Yeah, so that's how it looks like. For example, after the analysis has finished, it found certain issues that are not going to work when you want to migrate to Quarkus, so you have to fix them. There are categories, there are optional, mandatory, and potential. And that basically lists then every file and even the line in the source code where it identified the anti-pattern. And basically there is then, you have two options actually, whether you want to use the agent mode or not, or just I call it simple way. What it basically does, it creates a prompt and sends it to the LLM. And then you get a recommendation. For example, it removed some stuff, but and so basically you have then the option, either it's fine, what it recommended you, or not. So you can decide whether you accept it or reject it, or even edit it, for example. That's possible as well. And then whether you apply it or not, let's say I'm going to accept it, and that's it. But when you use the agent mode, for example, let's try it with that one. It's basically to exchange stateless with application scoped, because stateless is not going to work with Quarkus due to the CDI differences. So let's just execute it. I might should have executed it on only one file, but so basically it again sent the prompt to the LLM. I'll go into how the prompt gets created later on. so let's just. Yeah, that's going to take some time. I think let's just look into. Yeah, I think I said most of this stuff about the rules. As I said, they define detection logic and guidance as well. I'll show you an example rule, how it looks like in a moment. And the incidents describe what the issue is, where it is, and other additional stuff for the context. And that custom rules are possible and most probably required or needed. Now let's talk about the prompting, how it works. It usually identifies the issue, and in the source code, it found the issue. It's going to take the source code of that source file, add it to the prompt together with part of the analyzed issue, which is just text you can read. You don't need like human readable text language. And whether you use it or not, there is a possibility to make it learn from past issues you have already fixed. Sorry, issues you already fixed, but we haven't used it during the Learning Friday. That's the so-called solution server. That's one of the things we're going to try sometime. And basically, it creates that prompt and sends it to the LLM. It does its reasoning, and then you get the recommendation how you can solve it, or how the LLM would solve it. So let's look back whether it. Yeah, that's basically the difference. If you remember, without the agent mode, you had not. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But no. Now.
Plug it out and in again.
Oh, here we go.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, please.
There you go.
So basically, the difference is when we tried it the first time, it didn't ask you whether you wanted to continue because it found additional issues. And when you turn on the agent mode, you have the option to let it work on additional issues, which is helpful because, for example, let's say you exchange stateless with application scope, but the dependency is not, you haven't added the dependency to your source code in your POM XML, for example. Then that's actually a side effect of the issue. Like the way you fix the issue has a side effect, and the application wouldn't compile, the source code wouldn't compile actually. So that's for example where it's helpful, or to let it just find additional issues. But
I think the projector is now completely done.
now that, I mean, actually, when I first opened it, I think most of us think sometimes that way. Like, well, let's just click that button, solve them all, and yeah. Use the keyboard. Okay, yeah, it's better.
Okay, you have to select the
Oh yeah, hello.
duplicate.
Stop me. So it's usually meant like to assist one while migrating, not really to fix all the issues at once or automatically without having to do anything yourself. That's the reason you can. And now since LLMs aren't deterministic as well, you have the option to reject, accept it, and even edit it yourself. Is it not? Okay, and after you accept, for example, a solution, the analysis runs again and checks the current code base, how it is. So if something breaks and what was already fixed, you will see the issue back in the analysis view. And let's apply all. So it updated the files since I applied it, and it's going to recommend additional stuff, for example. Now, let's look at an example rule. So that's, as I said, when the analysis is done, it makes use of rules. The rules have labels. If you remember correctly, when setting up the profile, you had to add target technology and source technology. I've left it out, which means every rule that has target Quarkus is going to be checked against. Then there is, for example, logic to it, like for what anti-pattern are you looking for? This then gets kind of translated into LSP queries, and your source code gets analyzed. And if there is a match based on it, the incident or issue is created, what you're seeing in the analysis view. Then what I find nice is that you have a message in every rule. So basically, even the person, like the whole thing I've showed you is from the migrator perspective. So even the one who sees the analysis view, he has a description of the issue, so which is also used for the LLM then as well. I will show you how the prompt is created based on the samples we have used, because I'll let it log out this stuff. Yeah, let's take the first one. I don't know if it's too small. It's too small?
It's okay, it's fine.
So that's basically you have a part of it is a prompt for the system, like a description, for the model actually. Should act as an experienced developer, Java developer, who specializes in migrating code. Then the human part, just some description, and the input file where it found the issue, for example. And that's how the whole prompt looks like, what is sent to the LLM. So basically then there are some steps like you saw it in the UI, the reasoning thing, and that's basically coming then from the LLM. And here's the description, what should be added to which section. So that's how the prompt looks like. In the example where it exchanged, where it removed persistence context and exchanged producers with named, if I'm not wrong. And if it's useful to someone, you have like every time it does an analysis, you have a JSON for it as well. So here you can see, for example, the violations is found. If you remember correctly, like every rule has an ID. so basically, this ID is somewhere in here or in the report before. And so basically, what it has found matched is then a violation, and it's shown with the exact location, the code snippet, the actual code snippet, and the message that describes what the issue is. Now, and that's basically the workflow around it. You have anti-patterns you're looking for. You get the issues based on the matches it found during analysis, and you're solving them one by one. You don't have to solve them with the LLM, but when you have it at hand, you can give it a try. And if the solution is fine, you just accept it. And issue by issue, you're coming closer to your target, migrating to the technology you're looking for to migrate to. Now, let's look at what we found or what our experience with it was. Due to the analysis, it felt like a very easy start, because before we looked in Konveyor or Konveyor AI, we actually looked. We read about what challenges we are going to face or would face migrating to Quarkus, and yeah, most of the stuff. It's also due to this size of the application, but most of the stuff kind of told us the analysis as well. So it seems like most of the stuff we would encounter was already inside the community rules that helped us to analyze the application. Now, there's still know-how required for the migrator, for the person that sits in front of it and migrates. How the application is built, or so you're not going to sit in front of it and just let yes, yes, or apply. And I like that the rules are in natural language and the explanation is in natural language. The LLM uses this explanation, and the migrator himself can use the text as well to read what the issue is and might know himself how to solve it, and based on that decide whether the solution from the LLM is right or wrong or needs some edit. Now, this is more or less an LLM issue and not a KI issue, how I like to call it. It's just not deterministic. It's how it is. There are still minor issues or bugs, for example, but nothing serious. I would say it's easy to stop it and then restart it, and you have the same analysis again. And we have realized that it's a very active development when it comes to KI. I think during the Learning Friday project, there was a version bump from 0.2 to 0.8 in a couple of months. And we were kind of finishing our presentation, and then, okay, that's not the same anymore. Or like the UI was much, much better than it was when we worked with it. And so there's constantly improvement.
Did you show the current version or the old version?
And the current version, no, not the old version, no. And how does the future look like for us when it comes to KI? It would be interesting to see how the Konveyor hub and KI together work together, and also the solution server that contains already solved issues. Because there's most likely a bigger picture to it than just, as I showed you from the migrator perspective. There is probably a bigger team working on it, so where the hub the hub comes in handy to analyze the applications you have. Most organizations have usually more applications that have a similar architecture, for example. So to see it from the other perspective as well. And yeah, so that would be an interesting thing we are looking forward to learn about in the future, and actually to try it out on a much bigger code base or application that has around 1 million lines, and to see how it.
Did it work?
No, we haven't tried it,
That's the
but
future.
we are looking to try it out in the upcoming weeks, because who knows how it behaves when there is a much bigger code base. And as you already saw, I had in one issue 7 files that had an issue. What if there are like, I don't know, 100 files or even more? That would be interesting as well. And yeah, that's our experience and how KAI works. Has anyone already experienced with it, maybe, or never heard of it?
It's a good thing.
We're newbies.
Any questions?
Yeah, feel free to ask questions, because that's actually the end of my presentation.
I need to talk into this.
Yeah, then we have it on a recording.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask, because you showed us how the agentic approach of it works.
Mhm.
Is there also a way, just because I didn't see it here, to point it to some actual verification step, a test suite or anything that it can run against with the code that it migrates?
By verification, do you mean like when there is a change?
Yeah, like it does a change and then it, I don't know, migrated the tests already that are relevant for that piece of code,
Mhm.
so that it can basically check it. Is that built into the tool already? Because it was not part of what basically what we saw on the
Well, I
UI.
haven't mentioned it, but KAI itself uses, for example, the diagnosis of the IDE in order to find certain mistakes. I don't know if that answers the question, or
It's more about testing after you change.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had a change in the code base, then you want to know if the changes are keep running the application after that. So you send it somewhere. Maybe you had a second cluster, a small cluster where you can run your application, and then you know like everything in place works as you expect.
I'm not aware of that
What is
thing.
it?
I mean, I know that there is that it realizes when there is some compiling issues going to be or something, but running the whole application, I think I haven't seen anything. If I understood.
Or the simplest thing basically would be it executes some unit tests whenever it does a code change in a folder, whatever, something like this.
No.
Okay.
There's no.
Not yet.
Okay,
You can
that was the
continue.
question. Yeah, not yet. Who knows what comes next? Yeah. So maybe they're working already on it. So.
There's a page on the Konveyor GitHub page where they have kind of a future and plan things, because right now that's quite active.
Mhm.
So the Konveyor project itself is quite old. It's previously was called Migration Toolkit for Applications, and since LLMs came up with this, they pushed it a little bit further.
So basically, what I haven't mentioned, maybe if someone doesn't know Konveyor or Konveyor AI, does someone know MTA, like Migration Toolkit for Applications from Red Hat? No, okay. Because it's actually, I mean, I won't call it the same, but Konveyor AI, for example, or Konveyor is the upstream from MTA, and they have basically KAI as well, which is called Developer Lightspeed. and they're basically Red Hat themselves are contributing, or the biggest contributor to the project currently. Is also a partner of ours, or we are partner of them. So,
Any more questions?
Andy has one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just a quick one. The main languages are Java and .NET, I saw from the Git repository. Or is there anything else that makes sense for modernization?
I've worked only with Java. I heard about .NET, but I don't know how if it works as well as it works with Java, for example. But yeah, there are rules for .NET for the analysis, and I mean when it comes to the LLM, it should be able to work with.
Yeah. No, but it makes sense if it comes from Red Hat originally, and they wanted to modernize. And I think if you read it on their GitHub page, right, it's about modernizing it and bringing applications to the Kubernetes or OpenShift platform. That makes a lot of sense.
But it's language independent. They have
The rule set.
Yeah, the rule set.
The rules engine,
Yeah. So it should work actually for everything. But the rules which are there from the community are a little bit focused.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I have a question like, does this tool support migrating not between the versions of one language, but for example, from Java to Node, something like that? Having some old COBOL stuff, migrating it to some fancy Python, something like that?
I'm not aware of that. I mean, no, I don't. I mean, I don't want to say no because I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
Yeah, because in that case, it makes total sense to migrate first the unit test if the application has good coverage, for example, and then to do the wall migration just to make sure that everything is working. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So I had a question about the server that you say that in future you want to have the hub and the server would resolve issues. The server is coming from the community, or this is coming from the company itself?
No, it's coming from the community. Like that's a part that can be used with KAI, and it runs some. I mean, I haven't looked into it, but I think it runs on Kubernetes. So basically, you start this solution server. That's how it's called, and then it's going to be used to save stuff for issues that have been solved and some metrics additionally. But
it's a MCP server which runs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking that maybe it was something related to the company, but then companies don't want to share with other companies, and therefore was like Okay. That was my question.
or did you mean whether it's our solution? Like,
Yeah, I was
no.
thinking like the server was like belonging to the company itself. Now this is something from the community.
No. So everything is open source. Like what I've talked about, everything is open source, and each component of it, the hub, the solution server, everything is open source. KAI itself too.
More questions?
Any more? Thanks. Alex, thanks a lot.
Thank you.